Good morning, everyone.
Mhm.
Being recorded. Thanks, Whitney. So good morning to everyone that's here. Um, we're gonna really focus today on your database because as I started saying on the other day on Tuesday, the real key to everything that you're gonna see out here is lead generating. Every single thing you do is lead generation, okay? And like I told you all, I learned something from every time that I talk or hear different people. And I really do think the biggest thing we have to do is work on your database, work on your phone, get those emails. Did anyone have any luck with the 5 people they reached out to getting emails?
I did.
I wanted to, who was that?
That was Chris.
Hey, Chris, good morning, bud. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Tell me what happened. I love these are one of my favorite stories. So tell me what happened.
So I emailed, I started texting just random people in my phone that I knew. And so far I've gotten 15 emails from different people in the last week. So yeah, 2 of them are now potential buyers that were kind of on the board. So now I've just started sending them some properties that just to get their idea around what's out there. And
Did any one of them ask why you were asking for their email?
yeah, so like 5 to like 7 of them asked like about like they said, why do you need my email? So I was like, well, I'm a real estate agent now. I've been working with people the last couple months and just following what they're doing. And I'm like, when you're interested, let me know. And they're like, oh, I'm actually kind of in the middle of looking right now, but I'm not really sure. They're scared of the market. So I just sent them some places. I'm like, well, if you're not looking outside LA, you shouldn't have to stress as much. Just take a look, see what you could do. Like I could always connect you with a lender and you could find out where you're approved at, and then we could get going from there. So two to three of them are just,
Awesome.
I'm waiting to get them to get pre-approved and just waiting for them to take that next step.
Awesome. Great job. I'm proud of you for doing that, bud.
Thank you.
Great job. Hi, Sarita. How are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I saw you raising. Tell me what happened.
So I drafted like a little note that I just sent. I started sending to the A's and B's in my phone, and it just says, "Hey, it's Sarita. I hope you're well. Recently quit my full-time job and joined Keller Williams Inglewood, and I need 2 things from you. I need your email address for my bi-monthly newsletter and mailing address for an occasional postcard. I appreciate your support." And I sent them my business card.
Wow. Wow. And what did you get any feedback yet?
Yeah, I got about 12.
Woo.
Yeah. I had to
And
adjust it at first because people were just sending their email address. So I realized I made it like bullet points, like email address for this reason and mailing address for that reason. And then I started getting both.
okay, so if you don't mind me asking, were you a little hesitant when you said I'm going to be sending a newsletter and a potential postcard, because you know how some people are where they don't want to be inundated with you know being solicited. Were you slightly hesitant when you did that?
Yeah, I didn't at first. I wasn't going to put a reason for the mailing address,
Yeah.
but I felt at least to kind of give them an idea of what they would get from me.
Okay.
I put an occasional postcard.
Okay. The reason I asked that question is when I first started doing that, I got pushback from people that are actually close friends of mine
Hmm.
saying, don't inundate me with, emails, soliciting. My brother's an agent or my cousin is. So, good for you. I mean, wow. And then you got 12 of them right away. Good job.
Thank you.
Great. That's a great job. Who else? I saw a couple of Mr. Holiday. How are you this morning?
Hey man, I woke up this morning. I truly can't complain. Much better than the alternative.
Yeah.
What I did was I kind of played on emotions, and I posted several posts on my social media page about me being a realtor. And you know how people are. Oh, congratulations, Holiday. Oh, congratulations. Oh, I'm so proud of you. So as soon as they did that, I instantly will reply to them. Oh man, I appreciate your gesture of support, but here's my website. Can you please join my database? And I would have my web link right instantly. You know how it pops up. So I got like 16 people doing that. And then after they join through my website, and now they're automatically in command, it doesn't allow them to put a lot of information when they join through the website. So once I saw that they joined, I would send them a direct message on Messenger and say, hey, thank you for supporting me. I appreciate it, but I need just a little bit more information so I can complete my contact updates for you. And I got
Wow.
about 16 people so far.
And did anyone respond back and say, "Hey, I'm about to jump into the market. What can you do to help me?" Or
Well, I have a friend in Oklahoma who said he wants to move back home. So he was like, can you start looking for me? So I instantly set a drip
awesome.
up on him. I set him up on a drip. And yeah, so it's just, I had two other people that just said, hey, actually, we're thinking about moving. You got perfect timing. So I'll see what that grows into, but it was very positive.
I'll use one of my that is fucking great. Congratulations. Excuse my expression,
We
but
grown. I'm grown.
thank you. Something like that, just that is the whole purpose of that's what lead generating is all about. Because as you're all seeing, I got to tell you, when we first started doing this exercise, people were leery. Oh, I don't want to intrude on my friends, or I have this. But remember this: right now, as we're tailing off from the pandemic, people are still home. So they do have a little bit more time to maybe respond to you. So take advantage of that, okay? But the thing is going to be is if people like with Chris before when he said, they're just not sure, that's where you have to become their Dr. Phil. And to be perfectly honest, and those of you that have taken Ignite or those of you that are in my group, you know that I use this expression a lot. You have to be their Dr. Phil. They're looking to you for guidance, for direction, and to be honest with you, for sanity. Because this is one of those things where you go up and down, okay? Because it's like Holiday just said, it's emotion. Okay, play off of it. And if they say, yeah, I'm just not sure, then by all means ask them, is it your agent that's not guiding you? Are you not getting the proper attention? Okay, you want to be able to do those kind of things. Okay, the more you get involved and the more, remember, this is a very emotional business that we're in. As I call it, it's one of the big four. Okay. And one of the big four is you get married, you have a kid, you buy a house, you get divorced. It's one of the big four, okay? Take advantage of number 3, buying a house or selling a house or, buying it. But it is without a doubt one of the biggest emotional things. It's not like buying a pair of shoes. It's not going to Nordstrom's and buying a shirt and, if you don't like it, you can bring it back. It's not like leasing a car where you've got 30 months to test drive it, or things like that. When you're buying a home, yeah, I get it. It's 5 to 7 years, but things turn over. This is a major investment. And for those of you that have bought and sold or invested, think about when you're doing it and try to put yourself in these leads mindset. Okay, don't think for yourself and say, "Oh my God, $1 million! That's God. If it's 3%, that's a $30,000 payday." We'll get to all of that. Okay, and again, I stand true on anyone on this Zoom or anyone that's part of Ignite that says, "Oh, I'm not in it for the money." You're full of it. Nobody works for free. We work in a business that, quite honestly, in 30 days, you can make a huge chunk of money. Okay, but it involves your due diligence. And that's why I'm saying to you, make sure that when you lead generate every single day, don't hesitate. Have the confidence, right, Arena? Have the confidence to go after the people because when it's all said and done, people like to work with people they like. They liked, and there's a reason. There's a trust factor. Okay, um, our business doesn't have the best reputation. Let's be honest about it. You know, we're right up there with car salesmen and snake oil salesmen. And I made that comparison a few years ago, and one of my new agents happened to have been a Lexus car salesman. And he even laughed about it because, thanks Jessica for laughing. He even realized it because he hears it every day. You know, they're always trying to do something. And for a real estate agent, our job is to not sell homes. If you're writing something down, we don't sell homes. We close homes. We close because the only time you get paid is when we close. So our job together is to lead generate for your business. You're gonna develop. Somebody said to me the other day, well, why don't you do the scripts and role playing? You can all do that. But this I will tell you, I do an oral script, okay? Because every day I'm out there, I'm pitching, I'm selling, and I'm pushing myself. I'm not pushing Keller Williams. I'm pushing myself because that's, you know, it's my name on the sign. It's my name on the contract. It's not Gary Keller's. It's not Dan Stubbe's. It's not your team leader or OP. It's you. That's who they're coming to trust. So what I want you to remember is this. Was the Anaheim family reunion. Gary Keller said something very, very interesting to me, the group to me, but it was like he was talking to me directly, okay? And when you're lead generate one-on-one. Don't lead generate, hey all, guess what? I'm now a real estate agent. Make it one-on-one. That way people feel your passion, and that way that they understand you. So when you're looking at things, the 3 things that you're gonna focus on is your database, your upcoming transactions, and then your proprietary knowledge and insights around real estate. I remember I wrote it down while I was sitting in the hall down in Orange County the last time that we had it out here. So I want you to understand that you've got to get out and get in your head that this is really what you want to do. You know, this has now become a professional business. When I was growing up in a small town in New Jersey, I'm not a sexist, so don't take me on this, but every real estate agent was an older female woman who did it for 2 reasons. It was part-time money so that they could go, it was their vacation money and their college money. Now, you've got everyone from the corporate world to people with MBAs, to people with degrees, to people with experience, to people like me that left an industry after 24 years, okay? And then moved over here and then built something up now over the last 22 years. But I did it all lead generating. I worked my sphere. My first 4 clients were people that I had just worked with the company I left. And you know, like Holiday said, I appealed to them so, I pulled at their strings. You know, we worked together for 9 years. We were a great team. Can you imagine now me doing this for you? Not for me, for you. And I want you all to have the mindset to always look and say, I'm doing something, but don't waste my time. If you make it personal about yourself, you're going to lose them. You need to make sure that you're saying, look, I'm in it to win it for you. And I want you to be able to notice that I want you to be in with this because we're partners in this, okay? But I don't want to waste your time. The more you say that to them, okay, the more they're going to understand it. Because let's face it, what's the number one thing people love to do more than anything else in the world? Talk about themselves. Talk about themselves. Enough talking about me so that, what about you? Hey, what do you think about me? You immediately try and pivot it back to you. People love to talk. You get somebody talking, they will have diarrhea of the mouth. They will lead you to the promised land. If they're a buyer, They will tell you exactly what they want. If they're a seller, they're going to tell you why they want it, how they want it, where they're going. All you have to do is probe and ask, and then do the best word you can do, listen. Most agents run into problems when they don't listen. You know, it's like for the people in Inglewood, we have Ventura Boulevard up here in the valley, and a lot of it is split B, north of the boulevard, south of the boulevard. And I've had clients where they say, I only want to live south of the boulevard. Well, shit, I'm not going to send them a property north of the boulevard because I think that it would work for them. That's not what you do. You step back and listen. Part of my initial marketing when I got going was three things. I did bus benches, which now every agent does. I did massive billboards on Ventura Boulevard. And then actually I did two things. I did a commercial on ESPN and the Food Network, because I was reaching out to guys and then women. And then I did a radio spot. And the radio spot maybe was the most successful media thing I've ever done, because it was a 60-second spot. But at the very end of it, what makes the partners so successful? They listen. And then there was a 5-second hold. Imagine that real estate agent who listens. Because everyone always says, you're not listening to me. I told you what I want. So as you're going by and you're filling up your database, listen to them, okay? Because everyone's got friends and family members and coworkers. It's not just them. So Lauren, you said the other day you had how many folks in your phone? You had a big number, right?
Yeah, around 700 or so.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So not getting too personal, how many people you figure in your family?
A lot,
Yeah.
both
Okay.
sides. Yeah, Greek and Hispanics. It's a big family on both sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it fair to say that you have 10 people in your family?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Immediately.
And then those people know people, those 10 people, right? So first 700 really is spanning out to about 1,500 people within your sphere. I know it's not in your phone, but the more you talk to people, they're going to want to take care of Lauren. They're going to want to take care of Jessica. They're going to want to take care of Terry, okay, or Jesse. They're going to want to help you because they like you. But you've got to have your head in the game. You can't, this is a business, you can't half-ass it anymore. You really have to learn it to understand, because at the end of the day, they're going to look at you and say, do you really think you're up for this challenge? Well, of course I am. So that's why when you're doing your marketing, which you're all doing, you should be sitting down and doing 5 to 10 people every other day if you don't have their email address. I mean, what Sarita did was incredible. Okay, you really went above and beyond, because I don't know if I would have had the guts to say, hey, I also want your address. That was pretty great. I mean, that was pretty amazing that you went that far in it. So your database is your business. It's whether you want to call it your database, your sphere of influence, you've got to know that it has tentacles. It's like an octopus. It's squid. It just keeps going out and out and out. Think about if somebody's in your sphere that was an ex-coworker. Well, they're going to say to somebody, oh my God, Peter Miller's now in real estate. You know, that guy could sell ice to Eskimos. So now they look and they go, wow, can you imagine this? This is big game hunting. Okay, this is some big stuff. What I'm trying to say is I want you to get your database and put them on steroids. I want you to be able to grow it and have all of those emails so that when you're ready to go, you're going to be able to do it, because it's more than just a list of contacts. It's your heartbeat to the business. It's really, it's a record of everything you do. I used to have a business coach who used to say to me, I want you to hand out 10 business cards a week. A week. And I'd be like, shit, where am I going if I'm going to do all of that? Okay. And when you start to market and brand yourself, people are going to start to recognize it. When I had my billboards up, I was at Ralph's one morning, and this lady came running down the aisle and goes, "Oh my God, it's the guy on the billboards." So that gave me an idea on my farm cards to, you know how everyone does farm cards, the market's sizzling, or this and great, or that sold and this sold. I turned mine into a joke and turned mine into cartoons, where I literally had people driving by and having the balloon, you know, the bubble come out of their car saying, "Oh my God, there's the billboard guy again. Really, who is he?" "Well, that's Peter Miller. He's the master of Encino." "Well, I'm thinking about buying or selling." "Well, call him." And then I had big numbers on that. And those of you that are here in Encino, stop in and I'll show you these cards, because I had my own clients calling me laughing over it. And then I incorporated that into my newsletter, because I want you to make sure that when you're building your database, you personalize it. Don't do things canned. I mean, I think down in Englewood, you guys use Michael Lewis Marketing as well, if I remember from the last cycle. Does that ring a bell to you guys for your marketing? They're down in the OC.
That doesn't sound familiar.
No? Okay, well, I want you to be able, when you're doing your marketing or your cards or your website, personalize it. Get off the template so that people think you're talking to them one-on-one. Okay? It's so important, especially on your database, because that's where you're going to get your firepower from. That's where you're going to get your first hit from, because you know those people. Okay? Because that's also how you're going to start getting your referral business up and running and your renewable business up and running. I want you to be able to look at that, so that way, because as you build your database, you're going to expand it. Because those of you from your ex-businesses and careers, think about that. Who do I know? Who did I have a really good relationship with? And as you're going through your phone, look to also say, who were the leaders? Who were people of influence? You know, who was the mayor of Englewood? And I mean that, like, who's the most popular person that you know down in Englewood? Who's the most popular person you know here in the Valley? Okay? Because it's people like that that are going to be able to help you expand both your current and your future base. Because what are you going to then do as you're lead generating? You're going to ask for referrals. And like I've said to you before, if you don't ask, you're not going to get. Because this, I'll tell you, if we're at an event or a social environment and somebody starts talking about it and you don't take out your business card, my hand's going to be right out there with mine. Okay? I'll be honest, I took a huge hit when the pandemic first hit about and closed restaurants down. Because one of my biggest lead generating things is every Saturday night, my wife and I usually pick a different restaurant to go to. But if we have an 8 o'clock reservation, I like to get there at 7:15 and go to the bar and have a cocktail. Okay? Because inevitably, if you're snooping, somebody's always talking about either their money, what they're up to, or what they're doing. And people love to ask that question. It's one of the most common ones. How's the market? Okay, true story. Just before pandemic hit, I was at Ruth Chris in Woodland Hills at the bar. Two guys were talking, and this guy was bashing his agent. Bashing him. And I happened to lean around and I said, "Then why are you working with him?" And he goes, "Excuse me?" I said, "You're looking to buy an apartment building." I said, "It's expensive." He goes, "You're damn right it is." He goes, and he went off for 2 or 3, and I was just laughing. And I handed him my card and I said, "I can fix this and make it work for you." And he said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "He's not working hard enough for you." I said, tell me what you're looking for." The moral of the story is, a month into the pandemic, I sold him a $4 million apartment building. We've since sold him 2 duplexes, and now that we're coming out of it, right? He's like, "So what bar are you going to hit next?" And he's made a joke out of it, because I told him that people love to talk about this industry you're in. So for me, going to dinner is a prime lead generating, vehicle for me. Like, you think it doesn't, if you're, yep, Mr. Holiday.
I just wanted to by background real quick. I just want to confirm what you're saying for you. I worked at SLS Hotel in Beverly Hills, and
There you
I was
go.
at the bar. And I can tell you there was not a night that real estate and money did not come up right in front of me.
Right? It's big, well, first of all, you got a lot of people at the bar that are bragging, because they're the richest person out there. But as well, people want to know, they like to pick their brain on where to put their money, how to spend their money, and especially investors love to thump their chest. Okay, and you're going to also meet people who are saying, "Oh my God," and my wife, who only works with buyers, she overheard a young couple one night saying, "We're never going to find what we want. We're never going to find what we want." And Deborah turned around and said, "Yes, you will." And she put him in something 3 months later for $700,000. Okay, so don't ever worry about the environment. And even if, look, I know it's tough. You never want to, oh, well, I was online at the checkout at Ralph's or, Gelson's, and now it's 6 feet apart. Well, that's all about to change, gang, in 12 days. We're going to be going back to normal. So keep your ears open, because it's the best way to lead generate. Okay, and people will say, wow, if you were this aggressive, speaking to me, I can only imagine how you're going to go into overdrive. Okay, so I want you to be able to think about that as well on building and expanding your database for what it's going to happen. Okay, and the first thing you got to be able to do is make somebody a contact. And that means, and this is, Karina, this is what we were talking about yesterday in depth. You really have to make sure that your contact is a real contact, meaning you have their full name, you have their accurate current phone number, and you have an email address. If you want to be Sarita, God bless you, and go after addresses and all of that, that's awesome, because that's only icing on the cake. But for me to be able to look at that and say, I'm complete on it, okay, even if it's a have not met, meaning you haven't met them. And there are going to be people in your phone that you've forgotten. Who are they? Okay, some things that I've taken to doing now in the last couple of years, and I kick myself big time, is I now put down the companies they work for. So when their contact comes up, there was a guy in there, and I pulled him up, and I'm going, oh my God, this guy did an impossible loan for me about 12 years ago. Okay, I was doing a deal out in Covina. I know, what am I doing out in Covina? And this lender, my own lender, couldn't do it. And I shopped around and said I needed a local lender out there. And this guy was amazing. And I just texted him the other day saying, hey, I just thought about you, for what you did. And he texted back and goes, I'll never forget that transaction either. Now, I don't know what he meant by that, but the bottom line is I got feedback from him. Okay, and he did always say to me, look, if anyone is ever going to move to the Valley from out here, you're my guy. Okay, so right now, in looking around and saying that, it's really important. So make sure that when you're making the contact, get it all the way so you can define it, because you're going to want to be able to look and say, okay, where have I gotten these people from? So in your sphere, where are they really coming from? Family, neighbors, sports teams. If you have kids, their schools, social media, clubs, groups, co-workers. You can go on and on. And then all of a sudden, those tentacles, like I mentioned to Lauren, they just really start to spread out, and they really start to take shape. And those 650 names all of a sudden becomes 1,300. And you just start adding people. Hey, I know somebody. Would you mind if I gave them your number? No, of course I want you to do that. Okay. You always want to be, this is a business where you're going to be talking at 24/7, 365 days of the year. okay? If you're out on holiday or vacation, don't forget of who you are, okay? Especially if you go down to Mexico or go out to Palm Springs, you're gonna find people locally from your area, and they're gonna pop up and ask that question, how's the market? So you're gonna be expanding your database on that to make sure that it happens. So your goals on these contacts is real simple. Ask them for the business. If you don't ask, you're not going to get. Okay. And I'll tell you this, my wife used to be pissed at me for always saying we have to go to the bar and have a drink. Okay. Okay. It's that important. Like Holiday said, he worked at a bar at one of the top hotels in Beverly Hills. People love to talk about it. Okay. Even when the market is tanking, what are people saying? Got a good deal? Know any good deals? I want anything, then of course you got the other ones. It has to be off market. If somebody says to you it has to be off market, I'm just going to digress here for a second. If somebody says it has to be off market, ask them how many agents they're working with. And I say that because anyone that says it has to be off market means he's working with 3, 4, 5, 6, 20 agents that have sent him and shown him everything that's out there.
That happened to me, Peter, remember? Remember that guy?
You want to share that with the group? Because I forgot about that, Sarah, but that's a perfect one. If you don't mind sharing it.
Sure. So a few weeks ago, my dad, one of his tenants was leaving the house that he was leasing and was looking for a place to move. So my dad gave him my number. He called me and told me what his budget was. And Peter helped me send him a bunch of listings. And we got him a PED. He found this house in Reseda he wanted to look at. We got him to sign the PED. We were ready to schedule the showing. And then I stopped hearing from him. And I finally got a hold of him. And he asked me if the house was off market or if it was a pocket listing. And I said no. And he got super weird about it and basically told me after I pressed him that he was working with somebody else. And I was annoyed.
So thank you. You're going to find those kind of scenarios. And you know what? It's very, very, very common. We find it all the time where you run into people like that, okay? Where they're always asking you blah, 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 blah. So make sure that when you're asking for the business, that in the back of your mind, your secondary thing to do is to ask for referrals. Okay, if you're, Rex, if you're not looking right now, do you know somebody that does? Well, actually, my cousin is, or my neighbor is thinking about moving. Well, great. Can you get me in the door? Okay, I'd love to be able to. So get as much information as you can to build and nurture every relationship. Try and go back to and find as many of your old contacts and people that if you worked with that you were successful with, try and be able to work with them to be able to do that. Because what you're going to want to be able to do then is classify them. And you know what? When I was younger and starting in my business, everything was an A, B, or C. Okay? Throw that out the window. Classify them the way you feel comfortable as you're building your business. Okay, you're like we talked on Tuesday, you're the CEO of your business. So I want you to formulate it and organize it. Okay, this is something Irina and I were talking about yesterday afternoon. I want you to organize your business so that you understand it. There's no Keller Williams model. There's no Berkshire Hathaway model or Remax model. There's a Jessica or a Jonathan model. And that's how I want you to be able to do it. I want you to run your business so that you understand where your contacts are. Okay? Somebody could be on your phone. You might not even be thinking of them. But if you're getting your email blasts out to them or your texts or your farm cards, okay, out into your farms. And yes, I do send my farm cards to my database, to my sphere. I think it's really important that you do that. I mean, I know everyone talks about farming a particular neighborhood or area, but make sure that you don't lose sight of your sphere. Because when it's all said and done, your sphere is going to be the top quality of your business. It's going to be where you're going to be able to take hold and do things so that you can move it. So that way you're really qualifying them to know where they're at. And so if you meet somebody and they say, yeah, I'm probably not going to be ready until September. So does that mean you just leave them alone until September? No. What you do is, if you said, so what do you think? Start writing notes down. Well, I want to be in Playa, and I want a townhouse, and I can go up to $1.2 million, and I need at least 3 bedrooms, and I've got to have side-by-side parking. And if the complex has a pool, that would be great. Okay. And he told you side-by-side parking is a must. Okay. So don't send him something right out of the chute that's got tandem parking. Maybe it's got a side-by-side garage, which is great. Listen to what they say. This is how you really classify them, of what they must have. Not what you think they must have. It's what they know they must have. What do they really, really think that they want out of this? Okay? And if you listen, I promise you this, they'll lead you to the promised land like you wouldn't believe. Because they'll just talk and talk and talk about it. Well, are you willing to do a little work? No, I want it mint condition. That's why I'll pay top dollar for the market down there. So you're classifying them. Now, if they say I'm not ready in September, you know what? Just for the heck of it, 2 or 3 days later, I normally like them to go in and look to see what's available and say, hey, I was looking for another client, wink, wink, and I saw this, and I just thought of you, and I thought it was perfect. I will tell you this, usually 50% of the time, that person will say, can we go see it? And I'll say, look, I know you were talking in September. No, don't worry about it. At least let's go. If you get them to go, you've got a real buyer. Think about that. Their motivation said, take me to see it. Think about that. They weren't ready until September.
You muted yourself, Peter.
There you go. And so they said, let me just back up. So they said in September, and then you sent something 2-3 days later, 50% of them, 50% of the time they will say, take me. Their level of motivation shows you that they are real. And they have shown they're ready to go. Okay. And then all of a sudden they get the urge. You know what? Start saying, what else is out there? This was close, but is there anything else out there that maybe I should see? Without putting it back in their mind, okay? Because this is the top of the market of now lead generating and prospecting. Without saying, well, I thought you said you didn't want to look until September. Bullshit. They're now ready to go. So your next question is, have you spoken to a lender? Okay, because you don't want to upset the apple. Well, I'm all cash. Great, you'll be able to show a bank. Absolutely, don't worry about it. But you'll have other people that go, yeah, I've spoken to a lender in the past. Well, you might turn around and say, well, I've got a great lender. Let's at least make sure, that you're connected, because now that you want to go out and look, see, I didn't say I thought we weren't going till September. Now that you want to go out and look, let's just make sure that you're qualified. Don't use the words, let's make sure that you can afford this. I want you to treat them with the level of respect of saying, let's make sure you're qualified. And I know it's semantics, can you afford this versus are you qualified? Because some of them will look and go, excuse me, can I afford this? Everyone's got the ego of, I'm driving a Bentley, and then all of a sudden they pull up in a Prius, okay? And you're going to find some people that are like that. So it's up to you again. This is where you got to be Dr. Phil and massage them, because every single client is different. And one of the best examples I can use for you is on one of my first developments I ever did, 3 brothers walked in, triplets, okay? And they owned 5 liquor stores here in the Valley. The first brother paid all cash. The second brother put down 40%. These are triplets. The third brother, who was dying to live in there, right, only had 5% to put down. And because it was a brand new development and I was closing 19 homes at one time, because we were getting our certificate of occupancy, I actually rolled my commission into his closing costs and took out a second on his house. But think about that. Triplets, 13 minutes apart, all cash, 35% down, and then 5%. Can you imagine me looking at 3 guys that looked exactly the same? So you have to deal with them, differently. And everyone always says to me, and I'll make this real quick, what happened to those 3 guys? Well, the one that paid all cash, I have since sold 2 office buildings to, and 2 of his kids I've sold homes. And I sold the house I sold him and put him in a house up in Chatsworth. The second one, I wound up selling his house and selling 3 of his kids' homes. Here's the best. The one who I rolled my commission into to take care of his closing costs, he used another agent to sell the house. I know, total dick move. Total dick move. Yeah. That was the morals. But I am still in touch with the other 2 brothers because I have tentacled out. Okay. And Lauren, one of the daughters on one of the homes got her sister-in-law to use me on another. So when I'm talking about really expanding that, your database, this was a classic example of it. Okay. And it's funny because the one who I helped the most, I felt the best about when I did it. And when I didn't get the listing back, I was livid, but look, I did a nice thing because all 3 brothers lived next to each other for 8 years. So I did a solid there. The third thing that I want to really focus on is how are you going to target market them? Okay, because as I just showed you 13 minutes apart, no deal is ever the same. So that's why I'm trying to also say when you target market, you have to pretty much also be a chameleon. You have to be prepared to take each personality and change it to make it different. That's the way you build your database. You never say no. If somebody says to you, I'm not ready to buy, but I'm going to lease another property, you go and do it. Okay? Stephanie Vitaco is the #1 agent in the entire company, and all of Keller Williams internationally wide. She still does leases. I still do leases. Money's money. And I look at it and say, okay, on the lease, I'm making $1,300. What can I do with it? And in my mind, I've had, I know what I'm going to do with it. And there are a lot of agents that say no to leases. Those people don't forget you. And I will tell another actual story about that with a client that wound up turning from a lease into over $100,000 in commissions. But I'll get to that because I want to stay on this. As you're building your database, you've got to make sure that you're working it. Whether it's your 8x8 or your 33 touch, and I know you're learning all of that in your other classes, you got to stay on them. Those that are in front and in mind are the ones that win. And there's a reason. In my household alone, it's me, I'm licensed. My wife is licensed. My older daughter, who's an actor, is licensed. My younger daughter, who's an actor, is studying to get licensed. That's 4 licensed people in one household, although my older daughter's moved out. So think about that also. Who do you know in your sphere that's also licensed? And if you don't think that if you go to a wedding or you go to a christening, or you go to Easter Mass, that outside, that they're going to see somebody knowing that they're potentially moving, they're going to jump on them, okay? You've got to know that you have to make, oh, well, I hear from a lot of people, I don't want to, try and, I feel awkward asking relatives or friends. You're going to lose, because trust me, if that's also part of my sphere, I'm going to go after them. If you don't ask, you don't get. But I will tell you this, it's one of the most uncomfortable things for us to do is ask people for business. I'm not asking for help. I'm asking for business, and there's a difference. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm not asking for charity. I'm asking you to allow me to represent you, to be the one to do the best job out there possible. And I'll tell you this, my ego is such, nobody does a better job than me. Have I botched a couple of deals over the years where I just haven't been at my best? Of course. That's going to happen as you do numbers. But this I will tell you, I've always worked hardest for my clients, and especially the ones that are initially in my sphere, because that's where your referrals are going to come from. Those are the people that are really going to fight the hardest to help you grow your business. And that's what I want you to do, is grow your business. Questions? No one? No one's got any questions what I just said? Okay, so you've got to become a master of it. Even if people move, keep them in your phone. Why? It's just like somebody just said before. Somebody is going to move back here, or the big trend right now is leaving California. Where do they go? If they go to, I'm just going to name it, Austin, Texas, there are people from Austin that are moving here. And they're going to always say, oh my God, what do? I don't know anyone there. I'm taking, it's a job transfer, a relocation, or I'm moving there for family. Oh my God, well, you know what? I happen to know Peter Hong. He's a great guy, and I'm going to get you his number because he knows the market. He knows what he's doing, blah, blah, blah. Or if you have somebody coming down from the Bay Area and they're going to be like, Sherry Contreras, she's wonderful. She's a good long-term friend. I know her over the years, our kids, whatever. Boom. Keep yourself in front. Insight in mind is the one that wins. So you've got to have an action plan where you know that you're constantly growing your database. But when you take that information, put it down as much as you possibly can. So that way you can see everything in front of you. Just like with the triplets, okay, the three brothers. I want you to keep in mind how you work with them. How do you handle people? But you have to be a chameleon, because no two deals, in this case, no three deals are the same. And I used to scratch my head because they look so the same that, it's interesting. And I actually, they own liquor stores, and sometimes, depending on where I'm in the valley, I'll still stop in and see them. And even the one that screwed me over, I'm still nice to, barely. But, it's not like when I'm around the other two brothers. Okay. And yeah, and because Jessica and Lauren both laughed at that, but I will tell you this, I take it very, very personally. Because if I've worked, and in that case, and Jonathan, you're nodding, so you know where I'm going with this, I feel on that one deal, I went above and beyond, okay? And for me, I think that I just got, I got butt-headed on it. And so after all these years, I'm still talking about that deal because it bothers me. I don't like to lose because it's money. And yes, I first looked at it and said, wow, what a great thing I did. I'm here to help people. That's my satisfaction. Bullshit. Your satisfaction is your pocketbook. Green is green. Nobody works for free, right, Jessica? Nobody works for free. And don't let anyone ever say to you, I mean, I've had ex-clients call and say, hey, don't be offended. I'm in escrow, but I need your advice. You know what I say to them? You using somebody else? Yeah, and you want my advice? It's $1,500 an hour for me to consult. And they laugh and go, oh, come on, we've done business in the past. I said, well, we're not doing business right now. Okay. And you know, when you're looking at your sphere, go after some, you know, if you have a plumber come in the house, let them know you're a real estate agent, your CPA, okay, your doctors. Let them know, because if they like you, they're going to want to work with you. They're going to want to stay with people that they're comfortable with. That's how you build your database, and that's really how you skyrocket it and put it on steroids, okay? And that's what you want to do. But make sure, please, that you do it complete, because that's how you're going to be a winner in the long run on this. Any questions on today at all on building your database? Okay, we good? So we're back at this for number 3 tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you all for everything. Sarita, great job. I'm really proud of you. That was.
Thank you.
You're the first person in 14 Ignite cycles for me that's ever gone that far to do that in the beginning. So kudos to you. Really kudos to you. Okay. All right, everyone, have a good rest of the day, and I'll see y'all back here tomorrow.